Hello, everyone. I'm here. I made it. My goodness. What a world. All right. I know that was a short notice. I was actually hung up on the phone and then I looked at the time and I'm like, oh my God. So I made it. And I know that you did not get a notification except by text message. And that's if I have your phone number, then I can text you. So if you want me to text you when I'm going on live, you have to write me at the AOL address that's listed in the description and give me your phone number or your email address or some way that I can let you know when I'm going live, because even when I do try to send out notifications, a lot of times you all don't get it anyway. So let me brighten this up a bit here. If I look tired, I am, as usual. So, anyway, well, there's a lot going on. If you've been looking at the news, hopefully, you've been looking at news outlets that actually tell the truth and not push a lot of propaganda, which is few and far in between nowadays. But anyway, um, so the first thing that I wanted to make sure you guys sign in so I know who's here, because I don't know who's here. If you don't tell me, I can see that you're on, but I can't see who you are. So if you just, you know the drill, go in the chat, say hi, tell me who you are, where you're signaling from, and we'll go from there. Anyway, um, so there's a few things I want to talk about. There's been a lot of movement in the precious metals market lately. A lot of movement. Hello, Linda. God bless you. How you doing? I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for popping in. And so anyway, there's been a lot of movement in the precious metals arena. I have been talking to you all on this channel. If you've been following this channel for a while, then you know that I have been talking for a while about watch your finances. They will take it. Okay. So, so now we're down to the wire where all this crazy stuff is going on concerning money. Now, I'm not an economist, and you really need to do your own research and figure out what works best for you and your family and your how much exposure you want and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I am not an economist. I am not a financial advisor. I am not advising you. I'm just talking. Okay. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. So don't sue me. Anyway, so for a long time, right, I have been talking to you guys about the weird stuff that was going on with the banks. And a few years ago, my husband and I did a video. I'm sorry, you guys, we got a puppy, and I don't know if I'm allergic to him or not, but anyway, if you see me rubbing my nose, it's because it's itching. A few years ago, we did a video on our other channel called The Aristopats, where I talked about how my husband and I went to the bank and we were trying to get out some money because I was looking at a car, looking at getting another vehicle. And the last three vehicles that we have had, we paid cash for it. I don't like bills. I don't like bills. I don't like debt. And hi, Naja. And I'm glad you made it. And so we try to, whatever we can pay for and not have a bill, that's what we do. Now, I know that a lot of people use credit cards and stuff, and there's a way to do that. If you use it the right way, you can rack up some air miles, but you won't have any debt as long as you pay it off before the due date, right? Yeah, I don't do that either. But anyway, yeah. So I explained to you all on my other channel how my husband and I went to the bank and we were trying to take out some money because I had my thoughts about getting another vehicle. And anyway, if I think about it, I will try to link that video on here somewhere. But anyway, I'm telling you, it was crazy. And it had something to do with the Patriot Act. Now, they had this thing in motion where if you were trying to do a transaction that was $10,000 or more, they wanted they wanted a kidney. Okay, they wanted to know where the money came from. They wanted to know um, why you wanted it. I mean, it was very, very intrusive and a little weird, pretty weird. And so my husband, who is not easily angered, got so mad he left me in the bank to deal with it. I'm thinking, don't leave me in here. Anyway, and I was just flabbergasted that the guy was telling me, the bank manager pretty much told us that he would give us the money that we were asking for, but we would get a visitation at our door from the feds or whoever. It was bizarre. It was really crazy. And it wasn't even over $10,000, and he was still giving me the third degree about why did I want the money. I said, well, because it's mine. You didn't ask me that when I put it in here. You didn't have a problem with me bringing the money to you, but now that I want to take it out, you got a problem with it. Well, if you don't know anything about banking, which most of us, when I was young and I grew up in Philadelphia, back in the day, I don't even know if they still do this, but they had a representative of the bank come to the school and show us kids how to open a bank account. That's when I opened my first bank account. I think I might have been in uh, fifth grade, maybe sixth grade. And they showed us how to do that. Of course, you know, your parents had to sign this permission thing or whatever. But anyhow, they showed us how to do it. And then those were the days of bank books. I don't know, I know I'm dating myself, but some of you guys might remember bank books. Anyway, so every time you put money in the bank, they put a stamp on it and, you know, the date, and you look in your book and, ooh, I got money in there or whatever. Yeah, well, now everything is digital and they can just shut you off at the flip of a switch. So, anyway, come to find out all these years later that when you put your money in the bank, it no longer belongs to you. Okay, let me say that again because you might be thinking that that was your money. Like what I told the guy, I told the manager, that's my money. I want my money. You didn't have a problem when I put it in here. Yeah, it ain't yours no more, folks. It ain't yours no more. Okay, you are considered uh, an uninsured depositor if your money amounts to, well, let me put it like this: FDIC is supposed to cover your account as long as it's below $250,000. If you go above that, you're just screwed. Okay. You just, and something happens to your account and it goes to zero. Well, they might compensate you for everything up to $250,000. But after that, well, that's just a loss. Okay. Said all that to say, I've been telling you guys for a long time to watch your finances. Now, what has been happening in the silver market? I had talked to you all about tangible assets, right? I said, do not leave all of your cash in the bank. Don't do it because it does not belong to you. What happens with that money when you deposit money, it doesn't matter with a check, whatever, right? When you deposit that money into a bank, that bank loans that money out for mortgages, you know, HELOCs, whatever. They loan the money out. It ain't there. This is why they have a limit on how much they can give you in a day or how much they can give you a dollar figure, right? Because it ain't there. A lot of times it's just not there. They are only required, or they were. Now, I don't know what's happening now, but I found this out when all this happened that they were only required to keep, I think it was something like 10% of what they took in every day. Only 10% had to actually be on hand at the bank. So I don't know how much a bank takes in a day. Who knows, right? But if they want to have enough to be able to disperse to all of their customers, should somebody come calling, they got to have something there. So the first place I saw this weird stuff happening was in Europe, right? I was hearing these stories from people talking about how they would go to the bank and they were getting the third degree about why do you want the money, and we want proof that it's not drug money. What? How you supposed to prove that unless you the drug dealer? I mean, anyway, I don't know. It's crazy. But that Europe was the first place I saw that was doing that. What I did not know, because I had never read it, was that it is in the Patriot Act. It's in there. Okay. So when the bank manager said it's the Patriot Act, and I'm like, well, where's the Patriot Act? He said, you can look it up. So I did. And I'm telling you, it is absolutely shocking the rights and privileges of a citizen of this country that are supposed to be enshrined in the Constitution were manipulated in the Patriot Act. Okay. Thank you, Bush Jr. Anyway, so now we're looking at, hi, Diane. So now we're looking at a situation where when it comes to silver and gold, precious metals, things like that, what has been happening is the banks have been allowed to just get away with all kinds of shenanigans. Okay. What has happened is for every 1 ounce of silver, there were 356 paper contracts for that 1 ounce of silver. This is why I told you guys way back then when I first did the video, I said, I'm not talking about silver certificates or gold certificates. If you don't hold it, you don't own it, folks. Okay. Lynette Zhang is the first person I heard say that. And it is so true, because what they're finding out now is that because the US dollar is collapsing right in front of us, right? People are running to gold and silver to hedge against inflation and to hedge against the collapse. Why is that? Well, because there's a scripture where God says the gold is mine and the silver is mine. That's real money. This stuff that they've been printing and printing and printing into oblivion, which has devalued our currency, right? Is not worth the paper it's printed on. It's not worth anything. You know what it's worth? It's worth what people think it's worth. That's what it's worth, right? But if you pay attention to what's happening when you go into the grocery store or you go anywhere to buy anything, you will find out that you need to spend a whole lot more money to get that one thing that probably cost half as much a year ago, right? That's the devaluation of your money, right? And not only are they stealing your money, they're stealing your labor. If you worked for that money, you worked for that paycheck, you worked for whatever it is you have in your account, and it's costing you more money now to buy the same thing that you bought last week or you bought 2 months ago, they're stealing your labor. Okay, you were paid to do a particular amount of work for a particular amount of time, but now your money doesn't go as far, right? Okay, so let me get back to the gold and silver thing. It's like musical chairs. That's the only way I can think of it. There's two movies I want to recommend that you watch. One is called Margin Call, and I can't think of the other one. I can't think of it. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll let you know. Margin Call. Okay, watch that movie. Watch the movie. I don't know if you have Netflix or however you can get it. Watch the movie. Okay. What is happening now, if you're keeping up with the price of gold and silver, you will see that it is ridiculous. For the longest time, silver was something like, I don't know, $20, $30, not even $16, $17 an ounce. And now, let me tell you what it is today. So, point being, if you bought it when it was $17 an ounce, you're doing pretty good today. Okay, so this is APMEX. This is the leading bullion and precious metals dealer in the United States. I think it's APMEX, SD Bullion, J&M, There might be one more. I can't think of it. But anyway, so this is Atmex, right? They are pricing silver at $114. This is today, as of the close of the market. $114.23 is the Comex price. Now, that means that's what it's listed for on paper. But when you go to buy it, whoever you go to buy it from is going to charge you a premium. They're going to charge you for doing business with them. They're going to charge you for what it would cost them to secure it and all that kind of stuff, right? So it might be okay. So let me give you an example. The Comex has it listed, or Atmex has it listed for $114.23. If I wanted to buy 1 ounce of silver, let me click on shop. Let's see. And it does depend on whether you're getting what they call numismatics or whether you're getting just bullion or whatever. Let's just say you're getting just generic rounds. You ain't even getting fancy and trying to buy some, specialty thing. They have it listed at $114.23 or something. But if you go to buy it, and this is on the secondary market, meaning it's been recycled, right? And came back in. Somebody bought it, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever, and they needed the money. So they sold it back to Atmex, or they sold it to Atmex from wherever they got it from. Atmex will charge you $122.63 on a metal that is priced at 114. Now, that's our market, right? I'm telling you, it's crazy. I don't want to try to get into no deep dive on this because I can't, but let me tell you, and that's 1 ounce. So if you bought it when it was $17 or $20 and you buy it now, you're going to pay a premium. And if you're just happy with what you got, you're doing pretty good. Okay. Even if you got 1 ounce and you bought it at $20, you had more than doubled your money. However, buying gold and silver is not for the purpose, although it can, but it's not for the purpose of making you rich. It is to protect your wealth, right? So in other words, if a person decides they feel like they have too much money in the bank and the banks are very volatile and you don't want to lose what's in there. For example, last week or week before last, I don't know if it was Wells Fargo. It was one of those banks where they had a glitch, right? Maintenance or whatever they want to call it. And people woke up to zero balance. Okay. That's zero with a Z. Okay. They woke up to zero balance. And it stayed like that for like 6 or 7 hours before they got that straightened out. Now, I don't know if they got hacked. I don't know if they were changing over their monetary, whatever they do with their system. I don't know what happened, except they were down. It was 2 banks, and they were down for like 5 or 6 hours, and everybody who was banking with them had a zero balance. Now, let that hit you, okay? Because when you go to do business with the bank, it's numbers on a screen. It ain't necessarily the cash in the drawer. It's numbers on a screen. I remember sitting in a credit union before I stopped doing business with them. I remember sitting in a credit union and I'm trying to transfer money to another credit union, right? Or no, what was I trying to do? I think I was trying to transfer money to, let me tell you. She did not know the way she had her screen situated. I could kind of see what was on her screen. And to my shock and horror, this woman was looking at my entire account with a different institution. Do you hear me? I thought to myself, when we left there, I asked my husband, did you see that? Could you see her screen? Because she could see all of my transactions that I had done with a different financial institution. I did ask her about it before I asked her about it the next time we went. I said, listen, Why is it that you have access to my other account like that? Well, the way she explained it was that they were in like some kind of a guild. And it was whatever credit unions wanted to participate, they were all linked into this web thing where they could access your account from another institution. And I'm thinking to myself, now I know that they have to be able to do something if you're doing wire transfers and stuff like that. They have to have the information from the other bank. But your information is like, what? You hear me? I'm thinking, wow, this is really something. And I don't think that a lot of people realize that that kind of thing goes on, but it does. Okay. So back to the silver and stuff. It is not for the purpose of making you rich. It is for the purpose of not losing what you have, right? Not losing what you have. So you have people that have a lot of money in the bank. I don't know why. They have a lot of money in the bank. I don't know why they have a lot of money or jewels or whatever all else in a safe deposit box. Is it safe? Is it? Because if you want to get your stuff, let's just say, out of your safe deposit box, but you can't get into the bank, or for whatever reason, they shut your account down, how safe is it? So I'm back to, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. You do better, or I would do better, or somebody else would do better, storing their stuff where they can access it when they want to or when they need to. You do not want to put your financial life in the hands of other people. I'm just telling you, you don't. Not unless they sincerely have your best interest at heart and they know what you want and they know what the limit of your exposure wants to be. In other words, what are you willing to lose? Okay. Now, in China, hi JB, in China, what they're charged, let me tell you, listen, it is, I've been watching this stuff. It is crazy. We have these other countries that are pulling away from our dollar. They're pulling away from it. They're getting away from it because they feel like they don't want to be held over a barrel if they don't play ball. And not only that, but they see that our dollar is collapsing. So what has happened is you have these big bullion dealers and these people that own these mines and all this stuff that are willing to pay whatever they have to pay to cover their stuff. Now, let me tell you what the banks and some of these bullion dealers have done to themselves and to their clients. One of the things that they've done is they sold people a silver certificate, right? Just betting on the fact that people would be happy to have exchanged one piece of paper, the fiat currency, for another piece of paper, which is a silver certificate or a gold certificate, right? You're not actually holding the gold or the silver. You have a piece of paper that's like a promise to give it to you when you want to turn in your certificate. The thing is, for years, the banks and the bullion companies have been allowed, I want to call it, to scam people into thinking that they could get that whenever they wanted to trade it in. But the fact of the matter is, when you have 356 certificates all vying for 1 ounce of silver, somebody's not getting paid, folks. Okay, somebody, because there just ain't that much silver in the world. Now, why is there a lack of silver? Some of it is because a lot of it is industrial, right? You've got the Tesla cars with the Samsung batteries. They have to have, I think it's something like, it might be more. I want to say 2 ounces of silver per battery, right? The thing is, that's not recyclable. Once that battery is done, it's done. It goes in a landfill and the silver goes with it, okay? Then you have solar panels where silver has to be in the solar panels for them to work right. Well, once they're done, they're done. Goes in the landfill, that's more silver that's out of the market. It's gone. Once it goes into industrial use, it's gone. It's not worth their money or their time to try to recapture that, right? Or to try to recycle that. It's not worth it. It costs too much to try to do that. The other thing is, it takes a good 10 years. I just found this out. When you have a mine, from the beginning of the process to the time you pull silver or you pull the other metals, copper and all this other stuff out of the ground, silver is a byproduct of that stuff. You don't just go get silver like you can gold. Silver doesn't work like that. It's a byproduct of other stuff being refined, right? So if they're not pulling copper and all this other stuff out of the ground, there's going to be a shortage of silver. Oh my God. Anyway, so now because you have so many people that are feeling like something's wrong with the dollar, the economy is in bad shape, and we're getting squeezed. Okay, silver is getting squeezed, and the price is getting so high to then you start dealing with people that are suffering from what they call FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So no matter what it costs, they're going to buy it anyway, right? Which drives the price up even more. It's crazy. It's like one big loop, and round we go. So, said all that to say, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just saying this is my opinion. If a person has certificates, they need to try to go cash that out and get the tangible stuff. Okay. So there are other tangible assets besides gold and silver, right? There are other tangible assets. There's land, there's real estate. Now, I ain't even gonna get into the whole real estate thing because the price of real estate is plummeting. Lots of businesses are going out of business. People are losing their homes because they can't afford to pay the mortgage or whatever else is going on. If you get into real estate, you're going to have to carry it for a while until the economy turns around and somebody could actually rent what it is you're trying to rent out, right? Otherwise, you're paying taxes and you're paying a mortgage if you take it under a mortgage for something that's a liability. It's not bringing you in any money, right? So keep that in mind. What I'm telling you is watch your finances. You guys, I keep telling you, what you better watch it. You better watch it. Better watch it. So there is a channel that this guy has been getting a whole lot of flack, and there's a whole lot of copycat channels using this guy's material. But I don't know how deep you want to get into the Comex and the silver market and all this kind of stuff, or derivatives or any of that stuff. I don't know how far into that you want to get, but this guy's channel is called OG. What is it? OG Asian guy, something like that. OG Asian guy, something like that. Anyway, he gets into a lot of explanation about why things are the way they are. The challenge that you're going to have is his picture is on his page, but there's a lot of copycat channels that popped up that's using his avatar. So anyway, do your homework on that as well. I just want to tell you and really want to stress to you that I've been telling you guys this for years. I've been telling you, watch your money, watch your money, watch your money. It is written into law where they can do a bail-in. And I've talked to you guys about this before. A bail-in is when the banks are failing and they can take the money out of your account to keep themselves solvent. They don't care what happens to you. They don't care what happens to you. They're trying to stay solvent. They're trying not to go bankrupt. Now, in 2008 and 2009, Obama bailed them out, okay? You didn't see any of that money. You didn't see none of that money. Obama bailed them out. All right. That ain't the first time the banks have been bailed out. They feel like they're too big to fail. However, over the last 5 years or so, we have seen banks that have been failing, and then it got contagious. One bank failed, then another bank failed, then another bank failed. And then, you know, I'm telling you, it's something else. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Okay. So look up that movie, Margin Call. And I can't even think for the life of me what that other movie was called. But anyway, um, look that up. Oh, thank you, JB. She said, looking good. Thank you. Thank you. See my thing? My ears. Look at that. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you all about was, and it's not just me, it's a lot of channels that are being suppressed. We are dependent on you guys to push our channel out, to share it, because when the government was shut down, my channel was flourishing. And as soon as it came back, I got scored. How do you have over 7,000 subscribers, which is a small channel comparatively speaking? But how do you go from 7,000 subscribers, 1,800 views, and then the next video was 100? What would they all die? Where'd they go? I mean, that's the kind of stuff they do to us. Okay, I'm just gonna keep on rolling. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, okay. The channel is called OG John AG. Okay, OG John AG. That's the name of the channel. So you might want to check that out, and see what he's talking about. Now, where's my notes? Because I wanted to do some things. Okay. All right. So I was talking to you guys about the paper versus the tangible. Okay. Oh, here's the other thing I want to tell you. If a person has a tangible asset, silver or gold, right? And let's say that person is in dire straits and they need cash, right? Or they got a bill, a medical emergency, whatever, that has come out, and they need cash to pay for that. If you're going to, this is my opinion, okay, I'm just saying, if a person needs fiat currency to take care of an immediate need, it is perfectly reasonable to take whatever amount of gold or silver you may need to use to cash it in to immediately pay for that bill, that debt, that whatever it is, food, whatever it is, right? You do not want to take your tangible assets and cash it in for dollar bills. They are losing their value too quickly, okay? As the longer it sits in your hand, the less it's worth. I'm telling you. So if you have that type of tangible asset, don't trade it in for fiat currency. Don't do it. All right. I'm just saying. I mean, it's my opinion. I'm just saying. So there's that. The other thing is this storm. I had a thought about this storm. This isn't the first time I've been around a while, so this is not the first time I've seen crazy weather. But I had a thought because I had been watching what was going on in other countries and what was going on here, and how, every winter and fall, you get flu season, right? But there's something going around that's very, very serious, right? And my thought, this is just me, my thought is the powers that be did not want to have a whole nother cough, cough, jab, jab incident. And certain microbes, viruses, bacteria, and stuff will only die under certain conditions, right? It has to be extremely cold or it has to be extremely hot, and it'll kill off pathogens. That was my thought. It's just me. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking out loud. But There was something going around that was making people desperately ill. And then we have this deep, deep freeze. So I'm thinking that might be a good thing. It's a double edged sword now because we've got a whole lot of people that are living in RVs, that are living in their vans, that are living in their cars, that are living in tents. And this type of cold can kill you. It can end you. Okay. Um, Now I'm thinking YouTube's going because I use that word. Anyway, it can end you. Um, so it's a double-edged sword where it can end viruses and bacteria, but it can end you too, right? If you're living in those situations. Now, some of you know that my husband and I have an RV, and we used to, we don't anymore, spend a lot of time in our RV, but that was by choice, right? There are people who had to give up their homes and buy an RV and move into an RV because even with the expense of that, it was cheaper than trying to keep up with you know, $5,000 a month mortgage plus utilities and what do they call it? HOA fees and whatever all else people do. Um, it was cheaper to buy a cheap RV and move into it. Now, here's the challenge with that. And I'm talking to you as a person who lives in an RV when I can. Um, when the winter comes, most RVs are not made for that type of winter, not a long sustained cold like what we've been seeing now. Um, they do have all season vehicles, right? That are supposed to be better insulated than those that are just used for vacation during the summer. But here's the thing about an RV, it's a tin can. All right. It's a tin can or it's fiberglass. It gets either extremely cold unless you have propane or you're hooked up to shore power, meaning you are plugged in electrically in an RV park somewhere, or it gets extremely hot and you're running your generator in order to run your AC. If you run in your generator, you're burning gas. A good gallon of gas an hour is what you are burning to run your AC. And so the problem with people that are homeless or houseless, I want to call them houseless, is that a lot of cities have gotten very, very strict about who can be in an RV and where you can park, right? They will give you a citation. They will give you a warning. They will tell you you have to move. And sometimes people are moving, you know, 2 and 3 times in a week because they can't find a place to park where either somebody doesn't complain that they're there or there's a sign up that says no camping, no overnight camping or whatever. So they're constantly moving. And depending on what kind of vehicle you have, if it's an RV, you only getting about 5 or 6 gallons, 5 or 6 miles to 1 gallon of gas, right? So if you're the more you having to move, the more it's costing you. And not only that, but if something goes wrong, if you have a system failure, let's say, I don't know, something happened with your batteries or something happened with your onboard lights or whatever, or something happened with your water tank, or you got a busted water line, your house has to get towed or you have to drive it to a shop somewhere who works on that kind of thing, right? Because you can't just take it to a car dealer or somewhere and say, hey, you know, my water tank broke. Can you fix it? No, you're going to have to go to Winnebago or whoever made that or whoever works on RVs. And then there's the problem with getting the parts for it, right? Depending on how old your vehicle is, they may or may not be able to secure the parts. And if they can secure the parts, they still have to put it in. And that's going to cost money. And not only that, but you don't know when they'll get to you, right? So you've lost your whole house, in other words. So you got to have a backup plan for that too. Um, it's there's a lot of people that are in a very bad situation right now. If they're sitting on the side of the road somewhere and it's cold where they are, I'm telling you, it's not easy. They're suffering. Our RV, we have it skirted around with reflectings, right? It cuts the draft from sucking the heat out of the bottom of the coach, right? That's why is it airtight? No, but it does cut a lot of the draft off. And we've done what we can to insulate the insides as well. We've done that. It didn't come like that. We did that, right? But you have people who are down to their very last. They don't have the money or the resources to do that. So that RV can become a death trap to them. They can either cook in it or they can freeze to death in it. It's not a good situation. Then you have people that are living in their vehicles. Some are doing it by choice. Like I said, some people decided, I'm sick of the sticks and the bricks. I'm tired of having to pay a mortgage. I just want to be able to go wherever I want to go and pay what I have to pay to be able to live on the road or whatever. And a lot of these people are working online, right? They can do that. So no matter where they travel to, they're taking their job with them because they're working by computer, right? Whatever they do. Um, and maybe their paycheck goes directly to their account. There's drawbacks with that as well. Um, like how do you get your mail? Well, there are services for that, but the mail service has to know where to forward your mail to, unless you're going to be driving back there, wherever that mail service is, to pick up your mail. So there's a drawback with that too. And then there's health care, right? Where would you get your health care if you got sick? If you're mobile and you're living in your car, you're living in your van, where do you go to the doctor? What healthcare system are you under? Because they don't necessarily share information. For example, I know a person who was living in California at one time, and then they moved to here, and the two states were not communicating as far as the medical went. So that was a big mess. So they had to get started all over again in another state, right? And so if you're living in a car or you're living in a van or an RV, you have to keep that in mind too. If you have a medical emergency, how are you going to deal with that? And how are you going to pay for that? So there are a lot of people that are in a very precarious situation right now. Some of it is bad choices, and some of it is not their fault. It could have been bad management with the company that they worked for, or whoever they worked for didn't manage well, and the company ended up closing down, or the economy just stripped the company, and they couldn't make it anymore. A lot of people did not recover after COVID. They just could not get back up on their feet. Their businesses failed, and there's nothing they could do about it. So yes, I have. Carolyn said, you said before, have a backup for your backup. Exactly. So let me just give you a couple of tips if you're dealing with the cold, right? If you're dealing with the cold and you're getting real tight with your money and you don't know, how much this is going to cost you, there are ways to keep yourself warm. You won't necessarily be too warm, but you won't freeze to death. Okay. Um, there's all different kinds of things dealing with preparedness and stuff like that on the internet, where you can look at and it will give you all these different ideas of how you can stay warm if your power goes out. When you have weather like this, especially up north here in Oklahoma, we get ice storms. Right now down here, we're closer to Texas, so we get snow. We don't get a whole lot of snow, but we do get snow. I think we got about 3 or 4 inches out there on the ground now. I have seen more. A few years back, my poor husband was shoveling from the RV out to the road, which was 75 feet. It was not a good time for him. And I did say for him because I was inside watching him. I wasn't. Anyway, God bless him. Now, see what was I going to say? I had a visual of him shoveling all that snow. But anyway, oh, okay. So if you go on the internet and you look up winter preparedness, right? This is one of the things that I had also mentioned in my other channel a long time ago. I said, don't wait till winter to try to prepare for winter, right? When you're coming into spring, winter stuff is going to go on sale. That's the time to get it for the next winter, okay? And you don't even have to go to a big box store or whatever. Listen, don't be too proud to go to the Salvation Army or go to Goodwill or go to some secondhand place where you're not paying top dollar for quality stuff. It doesn't have to be name brand. The idea is to survive, okay? It's not to look fabulous, it's to survive. So take advantage of that. Look at the seasons that you're in the summer, or at the end of summer. That's when you start buying last year's winter stuff, because they're going to start putting it out because they want to get rid of their inventory. Now, here's the thing about inventory. With all of the tariffs and stuff going on, there may not be as many options out there for you to get things that you may want to get. The idea is to get what you need to get, right? So that you can make it through a hot summer and a freezing winter. And so you have to time it where you go in, you scour the place, you see what you need. It doesn't matter if it's pots or pans or whatever it is. You do not have to pay top dollar for everything unless you just vain like that, okay? And when you're in dire straits, that ain't no time to be vain. Let me tell you, it ain't no time to be vain, really. But that really ain't the time to be vain. So have backups for your backups, okay? When it comes to your food, how many times have I talked to you guys about prepping? How many times? So the other day, I was looking at these videos where people were freaking out because they heard it on the news about this deadly storm that was coming through, right? So everybody is feeting it to the store and just taking videos of how shocked they are that once again, the toilet paper disappeared. Food was missing off the shelves. I mean, these people were posting videos and it was like, oh my. And some of that was right here in my town, at the Walmart, right? We have two full service Walmarts here. I mean, they do your car the whole 9 yards. We have two of them, superstores here. They're on opposite ends of town, right? But we do have them. And these videos came from these Walmarts where the shelves were empty. Not all of the shelves, but it's like the stuff that was left was junk. It was like over processed, nasty, give you a heart attack kind of stuff, right? Junk food. And why did that happen though? Why did it happen that the shelves were emptied out like that suddenly? I can tell you why. Because people didn't prepare. That's why. So they waited till the last minute and they got to the store and found out somebody beat you to it, okay? If you're prepared for hard times, you don't have to prepare when hard times come, okay? I'm just saying, folks, I don't know what people's problem is with the word prepping. I don't even understand what the problem is. It's kind of like, listen, if you have a jar of Nescafe coffee in your cupboard, it came with more than one serving. Okay, when you bought that, you were prepared to have more than one cup of coffee. What is wrong with being able to have more than one meal? What is wrong with that? Now, in Europe, where I used to live for several years, they got these itty bitty refrigerators where you had to shop every day, or at least every 2 days. If you had a family of 4, yeah, you're going to have to shop every day because you can't store but so much food in a refrigerator that's the size of a refrigerator that would be in a hotel. I mean, that's it. And I'm talking about one of the bigger ones. So they shopped every day. Here we have major size everything. Freezers, refrigerators, couches, everything is oversized. And If you're trying to fill that and you go to the store at the last minute and Sally Sue from across the way and her husband with her 15 kids beat you there, you, you're going to be hungry. You might be knocking on Sally Sue's door saying, can you give me a hot dog? You know, you got to be, can you spare brother a piece of meat or something? Do not wait till the last minute. This is why I've been telling you guys, if you need something, go get it and get one more. How long have I been telling you that? If you need pasta, you like spaghetti or whatever, get your box of spaghetti and get one more box and put it on the shelf, right? So that when the weather is like this and everything shuts down, or there's an extreme heat wave and the weatherman is saying, don't go outside unless you have to, you don't have to, okay? Because you can take care of yourself and your family for a few days or for several days without having to subject yourself to something that could affect your health. Okay? That's what this is about. This is not about having stuff or gathering stuff just for the purpose of having stuff. That's not it, right? It's so that you can take care of your family or whatever responsibility God has put in your hands, right? You can do that without causing a strain, a financial strain, or some type of emotional strain on yourself because you don't have what you need, right? And make sure you rotate what you have so that you're not wasteful. I know people that buy all kinds of stuff, but then they're always out eating somewhere. And then they end up having to throw away all the stuff that they bought because they don't use it. That is poor stewardship. That is wasteful. Don't do that. Don't do that. There are people who need what you're throwing away. Don't do it. All right? Okay, let me look at y'all's comments. You know I can talk a while. JB said, I didn't buy anything. You've been preparing us for years. Yes, I have. Those that have ears to hear, Lord have mercy on us all. Yes. It has been years that I've been saying this. It's been a long time. It really has. And you can't say it but so much. Now, the reason that I do repeat is because I get new subscribers, right? Who may not have heard me before say anything. I'm trying to save people's lives, folks. I mean, this is a serious thing that we're going through right now with the markets the way they are and the banks the way they are. I'm telling you, the banks are insolvent and they don't want you to know it, okay? And then you have this whole homelessness situation going on. And I couldn't help but think about people that have harsher winters than we do here in Oklahoma, like in Montana or New York or upstate New York, where they get a lot of snow. If you remember a few years back when we had that really wicked snowstorm that went through here and people literally froze to death in their homes, I mean, it was bad. It was so much snow that it plugged up their ventilation, covered up the ventilation system, and they suffocated. Carbon monoxide in their house. They died at home in the cold because the snow was so high it screwed up their ventilation system. So if you're living in a place like that, you have to do your due diligence and get out there and make sure that your exhaust or whatever you call it is cleared of any debris or anything, and make sure that you leave your taps running just a bit when it drops below freezing. Because if your pipes freeze, you'll know it two ways. Number one, you'll turn the tap on and no water will come out. And number two, when it does thaw out, the water will be all over your house because your pipe burst, right? There's things that you can do ahead of time to avoid and avert disasters from happening. You don't have to wait till it's up on you or until the weatherman says whatever. You should be prepared every winter for a harsh winter because you don't know what kind of winter you're going to have, right? When you have the wherewithal to do it, please do. Please do. Please do. Because there are very few people under those circumstances that can come to your rescue. They're either not interested or they're not able, right? People aren't just necessarily mean all the time. Sometimes they're just not able to help, right? You have to be able to help yourself. All right, let me see. What else did I want to talk to y'all about? Y'all tracking with me? I think I had talked to you about food prices and all that already. Um, when you're doing your preparing, if you have animals, don't forget them. They have to eat too, right? If you need medication for your animals, try to get it, right? If you have a dog or a cat or whatever that is on medication perpetually, right? They have to take this medication. Try to get as much as you can from the vet, right? That you keep at home. Back up for your backups. They may have given you a prescription, but if that prescription runs out and then you get snowed in, what happens? So try to get backups for your pets as well. They have to eat, right? So when you're prepping or when you're stocking up stuff, remember your animals and remember the vulnerable, remember the elderly, people that you can help them if you can, okay? This is not just about you doing for yourself and your family. That's your first responsibility. Your first responsibility before God is for your family um, and yourself. And then your neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself, right? But you take care of yourself first. You have to do that. It's kind of like sitting on a plane, when they give you that whole spiel about the oxygen mask, they tell you, put yours on first. You can't help somebody if you're sitting next to them suffocating. So put your mask on first and then help the person sitting next to you. It's the same way with being prepared, right? Do what you need to do for yourself or your family first. And then, if you're able, help someone else, right? It's never just about you. So if you're able, always be willing to help someone else that's going through a hard time. Don't become a squid. Like I've heard some people call it before, a squid. They just want to suck the life out of you. Be wise. Don't let people take advantage of you or use you or cause you to mismanage what God has put in your hands to steward, right? You don't want to do that either. Some people you just going to have to tell them no. Other people, you just can't help them at all because they're opportunistic and they will just drain you of everything you have. And that includes your emotional support. You've got to know when to cut it off, right? You don't have to be mean about it, but some people you cannot help because they don't know where to stop. And they won't stop until they drain you completely. So you have to be wise. You have to balance your compassion with some common sense, right? Balance your compassion with wisdom. Don't just give and give and give until you've outdone yourself and now you can't take care of you or your family because that's negligence, right? That doesn't honor God. So there you go. Okay. I have been talking for an hour. Can you believe it? Crazy. And I'm looking at my phone because I think everything I said, my phone picked it up. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. Look at that. I thought I had turned that off. I guess I didn't. And there it all is. Anyway, you guys, it was good to see you all again. Um, please take to heart what I said. Please, please, please share the channel. If you're not subscribed, do that. It helps get the message out, the things that I'm trying to say. Um, the most important thing is to make sure that you have what you need for you and your family. Um, always keep God first. Always, always, always. It's in Him that we live and move and have our being, right? He's first. He's first. Outside of that, then it's your family. Okay? Your family, yourself, your neighbor. Love your neighbor as yourself and help take care of other people. The other thing I notice is there's a whole lot of death going on. It's like, wow. I mean, people are leaving. And so keep short accounts with people. If you have an issue with someone, you have to decide how far into your life you're going to allow that person, especially if they've broken your trust. So I'm talking a little bit about relational dynamics now, right? If you are dealing with people or you have to deal with people who are not trustworthy and you know they're not, but you still have to work with them, do your best. As the scripture says, as much as lies in you, live at peace with all men, right? Be as peaceful as you can possibly be. Don't be a fool, right? Don't make excuses for people's bad behavior. When they show you who they are, believe them. No sense in lying to yourself about who they really are, but ask God for wisdom on how to govern yourself around them. You know, what kind of conversations to engage in with them and when to keep your mouth shut so that they don't trip you up later with words that you spoke. Okay. You may not have even meant to say what you said, or they took it out of context or whatever. Just know who you're laboring with, right? Be wise about that. Don't be nasty toward people. Be matter of fact, but there's no need to be nasty toward people. You're at a place in your life where you have to decide where the line is. You have to decide who has access to your life and your family and who does not. That does not make you a mean person. That makes you a good steward because you have to steward your life as well, right? So, anyway, I just said all that to say I love you guys. I appreciate you. I really do. Some of you guys have been with me for years, and I really appreciate that, you know. And I try, you must admit, I do try to send you a message when I'm getting ready to go on because I never know when YouTube is going to send out a message or a notification that I'm on. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I just start sending y'all text messages. So again, if I don't have your contact information, please write me at the email address enoughgrace12 at aol.com. It's in the description box. And give me your contact information. I'll put it in my phone and I will text you whenever I'm getting ready to go on live. I'll try to do it 30 minutes or so or earlier if I can. But sometimes it's very spontaneous. Like when I start getting emails from you guys or text messages, when you going to do another video? Then I have to look and see when I do the last one. And a lot of time has gone by and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, let me go on here and say hi. So hi. I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. Please share the channel. And if I said anything that has been helpful to you or has helped someone else that you talk to, let me know that, in the comments down below, not in the chat, in the comments, because the algorithm picks that up too when there's interaction. So let me know in the comments what I said or what I showed you how to prepare or something like that has been helpful to you so that I know, that you're paying attention to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay? So thank you guys again for hanging out, and I will see you the next time I come on. God bless you. Stay warm. Keep your skin protected from the cold and the wind chill and all that good stuff. Don't forget about your pets. Watch your money and stay prepared and keep backups for your backups. I love you guys. God bless you. Bye-bye.